I had a thought earlier today about music bands and the amount of band members/instruments available to the bands. I sometimes see comments that say, such and such band would be better with an extra guitarist, ahem, and some such. And I won't discuss that specifically, but I caught myself thinking about the pros and cons of extra band members. Because I only ever hear about the benefits of an extra band member. And that's not usually well argumented either. So here's an overview based on my long walk this morning, with the caveat that I will be assuming rock and I guess metal bands as well. I'm not sure how this will apply to, for example, jazz bands, although I'm not sure anyone really understands jazz. Alright, let's start with this. More members is better, because that way the band has access to more instruments. Therefore, they have more tools to make music with, which is objectively better. This statement, I believe, is false, because backing tracks exist. And if you dismiss this argument because you hate backing tracks with a burning passion, you have my condolences. I hope the rest of the 21st century treats you better. It doesn't matter that you only have one guitar player. Just put the second guitar on the backing track. If you want keys or violin or, I don't know, a tuba, but you don't have anyone to play that, backing track. You get the idea. There is one exception, which is when said backing track instruments are the focus of the performance. Then you probably don't want them in the backing track. That would be weird during live performances. Here is an example that I won't play, but you can find a link to it in the description. I'll just show you a few moments of the performance. A Frozen Serenade by Lovebites features a piano and acoustic guitar bridge/solo section, so they had those ready and the two guitarists play the two instruments. But imagine if this was on the backing track and the whole band just sits there and plays with the snowflakes. Hilarious, yes, but don't do it. Okay, so am I saying that more band members is better because you can only make up for not having an extra player in some situations, but in others you can't? No. Here's an argument in favor of less band members. If you need something extra, you can slap it on the backing track. But if you don't want keys in this song, but you have a full-time member who plays the keys, what do? Hey John, we're playing Flat Tires next, you can go grab a cuppa. Which, yeah, okay, but how many cuppas are you gonna send John for in one album? How many times is he going to play only the bridge and the intro? Having extra instruments forces you into writing music that includes those extra instruments, whether that happens consciously or unconsciously. Meaning, unless you want keys to be front and center in most of your songs, you will probably have more creative freedom by not having a dedicated keyboard player. Funny how that works, isn't it? Also, if you're looking at guitars, because as far as I'm aware, the standard for rock and metal bands is bass, drums, rhythm guitar, solo guitar, and singer. But some bands have only one guitar. Can it be harmful to add an extra guitarist if we're not adding sounds that will be easily distinguishable and will have to be present in most, if not all, songs? We're already adding guitar sounds when we write the songs anyway. I think, yes, it can be harmful, because there's only so much space in the mix, so it's entirely possible to have a song or many songs that don't require two guitars playing together most of the time. So you can just slap the occasional bits where you do want two guitars at the same time on the backing track, and the rest can be played by one guitar. Furthermore, even if you do want a song with plenty of guitar noises, when they play together, which is the only time it matters that you only have one guitarist, you can't have both guitars be at the forefront at the same time. So you have your guitarist play the part that stands out, and put the other part on the backing track, and you're not losing much. But what about singing? What if we're looking at the so-called power trios, like Muse or The Warning? And I won't be talking about specific songs, so I'll just drop a link to their official YouTube channels in the description. Wouldn't those bands be better off with an extra guitarist so the singer can focus on singing? Well, if we're talking about The Warning, the drummer also sings lead. So they can write guitar-intensive songs and not have syncopated polyrhythms on the drums at the same time as the vocals, and they'll be just fine. What's up with Muse though? Should they get an extra guitarist? I'm not sure if anyone is even saying this with the amount of success that Muse has, but let's entertain the idea. Or maybe we're talking about a different power trio with prominent vocals. Would they benefit from an extra guitarist? Maybe. But then we have the whole backing track argument and having to write a bit more on the guitar than they currently do, on account of the current guitarist not having to stop playing to sing or having to play simple stuff only. So this is actually the same argument as before. Therefore, what instruments you have access to as a band determines what you can do, limiting you in some ways, but also increasing what you can do in other ways. Yes, less is sometimes more. So yeah, perhaps surprising no one, My conclusion is that what the band wants is what is best. There are limitations anyway, and musicians tend to be creative. So they work around those limitations and we get music. That's the scientific way it happens. Limitations, musicians, music. There is no better, only different.